morning, students. I'm Mrs. Henry, your anatomy lecturer, and today we'll be learning about skeletal system. Are you guys excited? So let's start to the introduction of skeletal system. Do you guys have any clue what is skeletal system?
Yes, miss, I think I know. The human skeletal system consists of all the bones, cartilage, tendons, and ligaments in the body. Altogether, the skeletal system makes about 20% of a person's weight. An adult skeleton consists of 206 bones, and a baby skeleton consists of about 300 bones.
Wow, that's absolutely correct, Mia. Thank you. Now, let's move on to the functions. The first one is as support and protection. It supports the body to stand upright and it protects our internal organs. Moving on is blood cell production in our red bone marrow, where it produces red blood cell, which we also call as erythrocytes. Next one is in our yellow bone marrow, it stores triglycerides, while for mineral homeostasis, it regulates the calcium and other minerals in the bone.
I'm Mr. Boni. I'm going to teach you on types of bones. So we have five types of bone. The first type is flat bone. Second, irregular bone, long bones, sesamoid bones, and short bones. So what are the examples of flat bones? Flat bones, the examples are skull. Second is irregular bones. The examples are vertebrae and pelvis. And then long bones is femur, sesamoid is patella, and short bones is carpus and tarsus.
So guys, let's continue with histology of bones. For the microscopic part of bones, we have two, which is bone cells and bone tissue. Where bone tissue is classified into two more components, which is compact bone and spongy bone. For bone cells, we have four types, which is osteoprogenitor cells, osteoclasts, osteoblasts, and osteocytes.
Hello guys, I'm Mr. Boni. I'm going to teach you on types of bones. So we have five types of bone. The first type is flat bone. Second, irregular bone, long bones, sesamoid bones, and short bones. So what are the examples of flat bones? Flat bones, the examples are skull. Second is irregular bones. The examples are vertebrae and pelvis. And then long bones is femur, sesamoid is patella, and short bones is carpus and tarsus.
Hey guys, my name is Dr. Axis and I'm going to be teaching you about the axial skeleton. So first, to understand about the axial skeleton, we need to know that the adult human body contains 206 bones. These bones are divided into two main parts, our appendicular skeleton and our axial skeleton. The axial skeleton is made up of bones along our vertical axis, which is where the word axis comes along, which means line. The bones line up across the central core of our body, and it's also made up of 80 bones. You may be wondering, how do we identify the axial skeleton and what does it do? So the axial skeleton is made up of bones in our head, neck, back, and chest. The axial skeleton provides support and cushioning for our brain, spinal cord, and organs in the body. The muscles in our body that move our head, neck, and trunk are all attached to the axial skeleton. These muscles help you breathe and also steady the part of the appendicular skeleton. Let's talk about the anatomy of the axial skeleton. The axial skeleton is grouped in five parts: bones in the skull, ossicles of the middle ear, hyoid bone of the neck, vertebra, and thoracic cage. The bones that belong to the axial skeleton are the bones in the skull, ears, neck, back, and rib cage, which was previously said before. There are 22 bones in the skull, 6 bones in the ear, 1 in the neck, 26 in the back, and 25 in the rib cage, which then adds up to 80 axial skeleton bones, which was also previously said before. As you can see in the pictures below, these are the names of the bones in the axial skeletal system.
The appendicular skeleton. The appendicular skeleton is one of two major bone groups in the body, the other being the axial skeleton. The appendicular skeleton is comprised of the upper and lower extremities, which include the shoulder girdle and pelvis. The shoulder girdle and pelvis provide connection points between the appendicular skeleton and the axial skeleton to a mechanical load transfer. Of the 206 bones in the adult human body, a total of 126 bones form the appendicular skeleton. The bones that contribute to the appendicular skeleton is include the bones of the hands, feet, upper extremity, lower extremity, shoulder girdle, and pelvic bones.
A single upper extremity includes 14 phalanges: proximal, intermediate, and distal. 5 metacarpals, 8 carpal bones, 2 forearm bones, radius and ulna, the humerus and the shoulder girdle, scapula, and clavicle. A single lower extremity contains 14 phalanges, proximal, intermediate, and distal, 5 metatarsal, 7 tarsal bones, 2 leg bones, fibula, tibia, the femur, and the hip bone or coxal bone, ilium, ischium, and pubis. These bones articulate with each other and are joined by a multitude of ligaments, cartilage, and tendons to form the appendicular skeleton. There are also bony prominences and protuberances that serve as much as muscle attachment sites on the surfaces of these bones. The appendicular skeleton is structured for a greater range of motion and locomotion generation when compared to the axial skeleton.
Hey guys, my name is Nadi and today I'll be talking about bone ossification. So you guys are wondering what is bone ossification? Bone ossification refers to the formation of new bones which begins around the 6th or 7th week after conception and continues until early adulthood. However, it does not stop until there. As you grow into an adult, bone ossifications still occur, but they do it for a completely different reason, which is to help repair bone fractures and for bone remodeling. There are two types of bone ossification, and they are intramembranous ossification and endochondral ossification. For intramembranous ossification, it refers to the formation of bone in between the membranes. So, how about endochondral? Endo, it refers to the inside, and what tissue does chondro refers to? Yep, you're right, it is the cartilage tissues. So, basically, ossification refers to the formation of bones inside the connective tissue. There are three types of bone cells that is involved in bone ossification, which is osteoblasts, osteocytes, and osteoclasts. Now, I'll be talking about intramembranous ossification. Intramembranous ossification produces flat bones of the skull, clavicle, and the mandible. The intramembranous ossification happens inside the mesenchymal cell. Mesenchymal tissue aggregates and differentiate and will then replicate to turn into osteoblasts. Newly formed osteoblasts synthesize and secrete an alkalicified bone matrix which is known as the osteoid. The osteoid, with the help of alkaline phosphate, will be calcified with the addition of calcium ions along with other minerals. Osteoblasts, when surrounded by calcified bone matrix, will then continue to differentiate and will turn to osteocytes, which live in spaces called lacunae. Intramembranous ossification forms spongy bones, hence the sort of spongy-like appearance in picture C. As you can see in the last picture, the layering of compact bone, spongy bone, and again compact bone is the characteristic of a flat bone. Flat bones is one of the products of the intramembranous ossification. The endochondral ossification produces appendicular and axial skeleton. There are 5 steps in the endochondral ossification. The first step is known as the cartilage model formation. Inside the hyaline cartilage, mesenchymal cells will differentiate to form chondroplasts, which will secrete extracellular matrix. Chondroblast turns to chondrocytes, and perichondrium will change to pericostrium. In picture C, at the center of the cartilage model, you can see the primary ossification center. Moving on to the second step, blood vessels will carry osteoblasts and will begin to deposit bone around the diaphyses to form a bone collar. This will prevent the nutrients to diffuse into the cartilage, which leads to the chondrocyte's death. The middle layer of the spongy bone is removed, creating a medullary cavity which contains red marrow. This is the third step. The two ends of the bone, which is the epiphyseal region, will start to calcify and develop the second ossification center. How this happens is that blood vessels and osteoblasts enter the area and convert hyaline cartilage into spongy bone. In between the primary and secondary ossification center, there is a thin cartilage called the epiphyseal growth plate. This is the final stage and the bone is fully formed.
Here the window comes to an end. Have everyone understand the skeleton system? Let's have a recap on the importance of this system. The skeleton system plays an important role in providing support and movement. This is because the bone is the site of attachment for ligament and tendons, which is responsible for movements. Besides, the skeletal system does provide protection. For example, the rib cage is surrounding the heart and the vertebral column is surrounding the spinal cord, which keep them safe from any external force. Minerals are stored in bone and are released when it's needed by the body and maintained and regulated by hormones in the process of mineral homeostasis. The skeletal system also helps in blood cell formation, where the stem cells are present in the red bone marrow, which is located in the vertebral column, and produce erythrocyte. Yellow bone marrow acts as a potential energy reserve which consists of large. Without the skeleton system, the body would collapse. So how can we keep the skeleton system strong and healthy? Consume calcium and vitamin D in daily diet which keeps the bones strong. Maintain a good posture which can reduce the unwanted pressure on the skeleton system. Exercise regularly helps in strengthening bones and joints. Take a walk outside to obtain sunlight which stimulate the production of vitamin D that helps in the absorption of calcium and phosphorus.